We are waiting to hear more from Beloit police about the murder of a 28-year-old man from Janesville over the weekend.
State investigators are in Waukesha County as the district attorney there determines whether an officer should be charged for killing a suspect over the weekend.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 Now this morning on this Monday, February 11th. And we're just in for it again. It feels like deja vu at this point. Yeah.
You know, after the slow start to winter, we are catching up very fast.
Yeah, you think?
With this next storm, we'll go above normal snow totals for this part of the season. So, yeah, hard to believe with the way December shaped up, but we are really making up for lost time here in late January and February. Another alert day in the forecast for Tuesday. We're talking heavy snow this time. Not so much a risk for mixed precipitation, but snow and quite a bit of it, 4 to 10 inches with the highest amounts to the north. Now, winter storm warnings will start later on tonight for most of the area. That purple shaded color is a winter weather advisory for slightly lighter snow totals there. But again, we'll continue to watch things because some of the latest forecast models are creeping those snow totals up in Janesville and parts of Jefferson County as well. The winter storm warning begins at 9 p.m. for Dane County and the Madison area. Temperatures this morning are in the 20s here in Madison and points to the south and west. Teens, though, on the map to the north. 19 in Camp Douglas and the Dells this morning. Not a bad start to the day at all. You shouldn't have any troubles getting to or from work today. I think that snow starts to spread into far southwestern Wisconsin after 6 p.m. Probably a few hours after that before we actually see those snowflakes here in Madison. A look at your News 3 Now First Alert traffic maps this morning. Things are pretty quiet. Keep in mind there still is some snow on the roads from that inch of snow that we got yesterday. So some of the side streets especially that were initially covered in ice and then now snow on top of that are going to be very slippery this morning. No accidents to report though. Your drive times heading into Madison are still normal for this time of the day.
We've been saying all morning it could look very different over the next 24 hours.
Yeah, plan on some extra time to shovel tomorrow morning and probably tomorrow night.
Yeah, again, it just feels like we keep saying this. Yeah, over and over again. Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
So speaking of weather, we want to start this half hour with a reminder to be extra careful out on the roads, especially as this new snow heads in. This right here, this is video from yesterday when snow up north caused a major pileup on I-94 outside Osseo near Eau Claire. Around 40 vehicles were involved, including 7 semi-trucks. 7 people were hurt, one of them seriously.
Just into the Channel3000.com Alert Center this morning, a family in Sauk County is out of their home after an early morning fire. Authorities say the house on County Road EE was engulfed in flames when they got to the scene just before 1 a.m. Everyone was able to get out of the house safely. No one was injured. First responders believe that fire started in a wood stove in the basement. The home, though, is considered to be a total loss.
We expect to learn more later today about a homicide that happened in Beloit over the weekend. It happened on the south side of town there Saturday afternoon. Beloit police say the victim, a 28-year-old man from Janesville, and the suspect likely knew each other. A supervisor at the Rock County 911 Communications Center confirmed to the Janesville Gazette the victim sat in his truck for 2 hours before first responders were dispatched. Eyewitnesses say the truck was parked up on a snowbank and still running. We're planning to hear from police in a press conference later this afternoon.
State investigators have taken over an investigation in Waukesha County as state law requires them to do after a fatal officer-involved shooting there. Waukesha police are looking for a suspect involved in a forgery case that happened just after midnight Sunday. That's when an officer found the 55-year-old man they were looking for. That man allegedly pulled a knife and charged at the officer. That officer shot the suspect 4 times in the chest. Now, police have not released the names of anyone involved, but we do know the officer who fired the weapon has more than 5 years of law enforcement experience.
Madison police say the number of shots fired incidents is down significantly from this time last year. In the month of January, 10 shots fired reports came into the police department. There was only 1 report of someone injured, 7 other reports of property damage, and 22 casings recovered. Now, the good news, that total number is down more than 40% from January of 2018. That's when 17 shots fired cases were reported. All right, 6:04 your time now. As we all prepare for more snow, some of you might still be dealing with the aftermath of historic rain we saw last summer.
Dane County is working to make sure flooding issues aren't that destructive in the future, and the next step happens tonight. Josh Spreiter is live along Lake Mendota. Josh.
Good morning. So this task force looked at a number of different options going forward. Some of them pretty simple, others a bit more complex. As we slip and slide on the ice this morning, it may be hard to remember just how bad things got last year. So let's take you back to that time. That flooding caused millions of dollars in damage for Dane County alone. The county has already included $18 million in this year's budget for new initiatives in flooding prevention. The task force weighed a bunch of different options, including lowering the level of Lake Mendota, removing all dams, bridge modifications, and dredging more while redirecting the flow, which from the numbers in the report, those two coupled together seem to have a more positive impact. They're also trying to improve the flow of the Yahar River system itself. We talked with the Clean Lakes Alliance about the findings, and they believe it's really very simple going forward.
If everybody in the community just thinks about how they can control that stormwater, it's going to help us in the end. And so it may be a cost up front of installing a rain garden or installing a rain barrel, but it may help prevent a cost down the line of flooding or things that happen when we rush that stormwater as fast as we can into the lakes, and the lakes flood and then it comes out.
The Clean Lakes Alliance says preventing that water from getting to the lakes in the first place also helps prevent phosphorus runoff. We all know what happens when the rain washes particles and bacteria into the lakes. We get nasty lake quality conditions, which means we can't even take advantage of what Madison is centered around. Along with that prevention, the county is also looking at how to better the resources when it comes to a flooding situation like that. That comes down to enhancing emergency response capabilities like sandbagging. Lee and Danica, they hope to have those recommendations officially set by April 1st.
All right, Josh Sprider reporting live. You can always give your feedback as well online. They're looking for some of that feedback, I'm sure. Thank you, Josh, for your report this morning.
6:08 your time now. President Trump is in a Twitter war with the latest Democrat trying to take his place in 2020. Minnesota's third-term U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar announced her bid for president yesterday in the middle of a blizzard, as you can see there. In her speech, she talked about climate change and how, if elected, she would reinstate the clean power rules and invest in green jobs and infrastructure. In response, President Trump took to Twitter, calling Klobuchar a snowman and saying it was, quote, bad timing to talk about fighting global warming while standing in a blizzard. Senator Klobuchar tweeted back that she's looking forward to debating him about climate change and wondered how his hair would look in a blizzard. Now, Klobuchar has made her career on a reach-across-the-aisle reputation, and she got national attention last year for questioning Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. She joins a number of Democratic female senators running in 2020, including Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren, California Senator Kamala Harris, and New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand.
So from national politics to state politics and local, we just are over a week until the mayoral election here in Madison, and you have a chance to hear from the candidates later on tonight. The Young, Gifted, and Black Coalition is hosting tonight's forum. That group has worked to solve disparity issues in the county jail and has protested police brutality in the past. Now, the organization wrote on Facebook that it's hosting the event because recent forums have only scratched the surface on how candidates plan to use their expertise to make real change here in the city. The People's Mayoral Forum, as they're calling it, goes from 6:30 until 8 o'clock tonight at Central Library downtown. It is free and open to the public. No word yet on which candidates will be attending. The primary election, though, is a week from tomorrow.
So help is just a phone call away if you're trying to navigate our local food resources, healthcare system, or financial assistance options. We're talking with the United Way this morning about their phone line to help connect you with that help after the break.
Brewers, pitchers, and catchers start reporting to spring training tomorrow.
What?
The high is 70 in Phoenix over the next couple days.
Ugh.
We won't even get halfway to that. Instead, Hattie's talking about more snow when News 3 Now this morning continues.
Good morning from the Hattie-O patio, where things are pretty quiet this morning, but later on today, another snowstorm is expected to move into the area. Let's take a look. Today or tomorrow is an alert day due to some heavy snow that we're expecting tonight into Tuesday. It will be heaviest overnight through Tuesday morning. Total snow accumulation ranging 4 to 10 inches, maybe even higher amounts. The highest snow totals will come north of Madison. Now, here's a look at the winter storm warnings that are in effect. We've been upgraded in most areas from a winter storm watch to a winter storm warning. For the southwestern corner of the state, starts at 6 p.m. this evening, begins at 9 for south central Wisconsin, and then at midnight. Now, the snow is expected to spread into the area from the southwest to the northeast through the evening hours. Expected snowfall, again, with this storm is going to be pretty heavy. We're expecting all snow from it. It is going to be a little bit of a heavier snow with temperatures in the upper 20s while the snow is falling. So keep that in mind as you prepare to shovel tomorrow. But for most of us, 6 to 9 inches of snow is expected. Now, nothing showing up on the radar map this morning. We did have a little bit of drizzle earlier at the station, and you may have had some of that at your house as well, but really things are pretty quiet right now. As the storm system organizes itself, moves out of the Rockies, it has plenty of moisture to work with. In fact, rain lining up from Texas all the way to Cincinnati and the Ohio River Valley this morning. We are going to be on the cold side of things, though, so as I mentioned, all snow for southern Wisconsin. 2 in International Falls this morning, 18 in Minneapolis, 24 in Des Moines. St. Louis is above the freezing point right now with 34 degrees, but here in southern Wisconsin, temperatures are generally in the 20s. 23 now in Madison, so we're down a degree. 28 in Janesville, 26 in Platteville, and 19 in the Dells. Winds are from the northeast, so there is a little bit of a wind chill factor. Feels like it's in the teens this morning. Now take a look at your future track forecast. As far as winds are concerned, they will be increasing from the east, so it will be breezy this afternoon. Future track shows you that we will have cloudy skies through the day today. Temperatures will top in the upper 20s. Snow spreading into the area after 6 and turning heavy at times overnight tonight into tomorrow. Now, I think that snow is going to last through most of the day on Tuesday, so this will be sort of a long duration event for us before that snow tapers off Tuesday night. Here's a look at your extended forecast then. Temperatures right around the freezing point tomorrow, then back into the 20s. We do have another storm system late Thursday into Friday. This one could bring another mix of precipitation to southern Wisconsin. Now let's get a look at your first alert traffic maps this morning with Josh. Good morning, Josh.
Yeah, good morning. Most of the main routes, including the Beltline, are well treated right now and moving along close to the posted speeds with no major issues. Other roads here in Dane County, not looking too bad right now at the moment. A lot of the side streets are still snow covered. Make sure you give yourself a few minutes extra there. No delays showing up downtown on campus. Volume not an issue at this point. And other routes, including the interstate heading into Madison, still moving along at the usual speeds with no major crashes or delays. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thank you, Josh, and of course, thank you, Hattie. So today is National 211 Day. That's the United Way's helpline that you can call to get information about local resources.
Yeah, this call center takes 90 calls a day, responding to questions from food pantries to opioid addiction and mental health. Director Rachel Gundecker joins us this morning to talk more about the service.
Hi,
good morning.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. So this line really covers a gamut of things. What can people call in to get help with?
Sure, so really anything. How I like to describe it is if you have a problem or an issue and you're wondering, are there any resources out in the community that could help? You can call us and we can tell you. We can say, yeah, here are these 3 places you could go, or maybe not exactly that, but perhaps here's an alternative solution.
It may be obvious to you, but why was this started? Like, what was the impetus, and why is it still in existence? I mean,
Sure.
90 calls a day, that's a lot.
So I think it started actually in a library in Atlanta, but it kind of morphed into this new service. And the reason behind it is that there are so many nonprofits in our area, right? There are so many government agencies and nonprofits doing great things in the community. But if people can't connect to them, then they don't get help. So that's really what we do, is we bridge that gap. People can call us and we can connect them with the agency doing the great work.
So there have been a couple of instances in which this line has helped folks. One of them most recently was the Sun Prairie explosion. What were you guys able to offer during that?
Sure, so during the Sun Prairie explosion, the police department emergency management reached out to us, and we were able to tell people calling in, where they could go to get access to their home and at what time. And
Sure.
It was a good service for us is when the emergency management or police departments, whomever is feeding us information, and then people can just call one number to access that info.
And you guys, rather than them, who are
Right.
they're already dealing with so much at that point. So
Yeah.
what a resource to have there. Another thing, we were talking about this during the break, is, and we've been talking about it all morning actually, is the flooding last summer. And just what kind of devastation we saw there. What kind of calls were you taking last summer during all of this?
So we did all of the intake forms for people reporting their flooding damage, and that was for emergency management. And we actually did it statewide. So we activated all of the 211s across the state. We were all taking those calls and filling out those forms for folks. And the lift there was for emergency management. So instead of those individual emergency managements in every county taking those calls, we were able to do it in one centralized place.
Let's talk a little bit about getting in touch with you folks in the first place. You not only can call, but you can text, right?
Yep, you can text your zip code to 898-211, and you can talk with someone via text about whatever resources that you need.
And we want to make sure people know this is not just something in an emergency that, you know, in a natural disaster like we saw, or the explosion. I mean, this is something accessed all the time, year round, right?
Totally. And 211 Day, so February 11th, is a really good day to talk about all of the services that we do, not just when we're in the news because of flooding or the Sun Prairie explosion, but really just our everyday caller who needs a food pantry or rent assistance or a support group or a place to go for an addiction. So really anybody can call us anytime. We're 24 hours, 7 days a week, and we serve the whole state of Wisconsin. So while our call center takes about 31,000 calls a year, throughout the state we take over 200,000 calls.
Wow.
Yeah, that's huge. Well, Rachel, thank you for coming in,
Yeah,
and thanks for
having
bridging the
me.
gap for all of us out there. It
Totally.
can be
We appreciate it.
overwhelming. So thank you so much.
All right, 6:18 your time now. Seattle is seeing its snowiest month on record in more than 3 decades, and their forecast, it's about to head our way tonight.
Yeah, I got a preview of what's on the way to Wisconsin when I video chatted a buddy from Yakima, Washington yesterday. Chris is going to lay out why we are getting slammed by the winter weather over and over and over again when News 3 Now This Morning continues.
Good morning from the News 3 Now First Alert Weather Center. As we start this Monday morning, temperatures aren't terribly cold. Looking at those numbers, we have teens and 20s on the map this morning. Not bad for early February. Could be a lot colder. Temperatures, though, will climb just a few degrees today as we go through the day. Wind chills are in the teens this morning. Here's a look at your bus stop weather forecast. Now, we do have snow in the forecast tonight, but it shouldn't impact the ride to or from school. Highs will be in the upper 20s with cloudy skies. That snow starts after 6 p.m. tonight.
Thank you very much, Hattie. So just 11 days into February, our friends in Seattle are seeing the snowiest month there since November of 1985. Wow. Yesterday marked the 6th day this month with measurable snow. Almost every school in the area is closed for the day. This latest snowstorm is much more challenging to forecast, too, with snow, freezing rain, sleet, and just plain rain, all possible. That historic snowfall is inching our way, unfortunately, to hit us starting later on tonight.
Yep, it's just the latest snowy forecast. It seems to be on repeat this winter. Chris Reese is here this morning to explain what's behind such an active weather pattern. Chris?
That's right, girls, and a lot of it has to do with the upper air jet stream that always controls the weather that we see here in south central Wisconsin. But let's do a recap of what did happen over the weekend, because that's going to shape up how things go for the rest of the week. For one, we did have 2 different regions of low pressure that came into the Pacific Northwest. Those were pushed to the south due to cold air that we have in place over the western half of the country. They then rode the jet stream, or shall I say are riding the jet stream right as we speak, with the region of low pressure coming out of the Four Corners. That's going to work its way towards the Great Lakes as we go through tomorrow, and that will be bringing us our winter storm. So for that reason, we do have the winter storm warnings for everywhere that you do see. In the pink right now, in the purple, you do have winter weather advisories. That goes all the way back towards places like Omaha, Nebraska, and beyond, with winter storm watches in the Twin Cities metro area right now. But then we work our way farther towards the west, and once again, winter storm watches, winter weather advisories, and winter storm warnings are in play for places like Seattle because they have another storm that is coming their way. It's offshore right now, already starting to gather steam over the Pacific Northwest, and here's how that's going to move as we go through the rest of the week. This is Tuesday. More snow in the same places that have been hit. We track that across the country, and it comes right at us here in the upper Midwest. And so essentially what is happening here is we've had this cold air over the western half of the country, allowing that jet stream to pick up that Pacific moisture and work its way towards the Great Lakes. As this cold air is essentially wobbled around, it's repositioned the jet stream several times as these systems continue to come into the Pacific and move them towards the Great Lakes. The good news, though, is that as we get you towards the weekend and perhaps into early next week, we're going to see that storm track push farther towards the south. The bad news, unfortunately, is that when that storm track pushes farther to the south, that means we end up in the deep freezer here. Now, I don't think we're going to see the core of the polar vortex again, but things do look cold as we get you towards next week, with more snow chances towards the end of this week as well from this pattern. And then it could recycle again.
Still happy you came up north?
I love it. Positivity is the only way to make it through this kind of pattern.
That's true. So, thank goodness we have him.
Yes, we will always love it, even if we hate it.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate the
My
outlook.
pleasure.
Your time right now is 6:26, and UW-Madison leaders say they're falling behind other universities when it comes to building infrastructure and upkeep.
And there is a rare opportunity to hear from some special UW-Madison alumni today who led the fight for equal rights for Black students back in the 60s. The day's top stories are next on News 3 Now this morning.
A group of your kids' classmates want to see Madison schools using all renewable energy by the time current preschoolers get their college degrees.
Happening tonight, several county agencies will be meeting to discuss ways to prevent more catastrophic flooding around the Yahar Lakes. I'm Josh Brutter live along Lake Mendota this morning with a sneak peek.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning and welcome to the final half hour of News 3 Now this morning. Now 6:30 just now on this Monday morning, and we can giggle now because there is major snow coming yet again.
Hattie's counting down the minutes before we have to see yet another snowstorm. Hads, how's it looking out there this morning?
Well, pretty quiet right now, but let me tell you, the kids are excited about this one, and for good reason. This could be a big snowstorm for southern Wisconsin. Let's take a look at the advisories and the bulletins that will go into effect later on today. Now, this is going to start tonight, so you shouldn't have any issues getting to or from work today. Winter storm warnings start at 6 p.m. for southwestern Wisconsin, 9 p.m. for the central part of the state, and then at midnight for our northeastern viewing area. Here's a look at our current temperatures. We're in the teens and 20s this morning. The warm spot is Janesville with 28. Coldest to the north, the Dells and Camp Douglas at 19 degrees. Not terribly cold though today. Temperatures will top in the upper 20s, but watch out, there will be an east wind increasing to 10 to 20 miles an hour, so that'll be kind of a cool wind through the afternoon. Now, probability of precipitation really starts to increase this evening. Here in Madison, our chances for snow start to ramp up after 9 o'clock. South and west of here, though, you might see that snow a little earlier. 6 to 7 o'clock is when it starts for the far southwestern corner of the state. Snow becomes pretty much a guarantee then overnight tonight through much of the day on Tuesday. Here's a look at your first alert traffic maps. We're not seeing any major issues on the big roads here in Madison or the surrounding areas. No accidents to report. Keep in mind, though, that side streets are slippery. They're still snow covered and ice covered from the last couple of storms that we have had. And that's your first alert traffic.
Yeah, boy, Hads, we've had plenty of practice driving in bad conditions lately. We should be prepared for this week.
Yeah, I don't know, but that's a lot of snow coming tonight into tomorrow, so keep that in mind.
That's true. Always a good reminder to take it slow. Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
Into the Channel 3000 Alert Center overnight, a 26-year-old man is recovering after being stabbed multiple times. Madison police responded to Midvale Boulevard, just east of the Odana Hills Golf Course, after 6 last night. A suspect is in custody this morning on tentative charges of attempted homicide. We do not know how the victim is doing this morning. Police do believe, though, this was an isolated incident.
Over in Fitchburg, a teenager is in custody after causing a hit and run while driving a stolen car. It happened around 7 last night. Police were following 2 stolen vehicles when they both sped off and ran red lights. Later on, one of those cars hit another vehicle on McKee Road near Seminole Highway. The driver of that vehicle, along with a K-9, helped to find the 17-year-old suspect and the stolen truck he was in. The other stolen car is still missing this morning.
Also into the Channel 3000 Alert Center this morning, an update on the ongoing political scandals in Virginia. A state lawmaker there who threatened to introduce an impeachment bill against the state's lieutenant governor is now backing off.
Democrat Patrick Hope had said he'd introduce impeachment articles against Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax after 2 women accused him of sexual assault years ago. Fairfax denies those claims and has called for the FBI to investigate. Hope is tweeting this morning additional conversations will need to happen before any impeachment bills are filed. Gayle King sat down with Virginia's governor, who also faces mounting pressure to resign from his office. Her full interview will air after 7 on CBS this morning.
6:33 right now. We are talking about snow now, but it wasn't that long ago that we were dealing with another kind of precipitation. We're talking about historically heavy rain and flooding.
Yep, we know you remember it. There's a special task force working to prevent future flooding issues here in Dane County. That group is going to lay out its findings for county leaders tonight. Our Josh Spreiter is live near the Tenny Locks this morning with a preview. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. The Dane County Board of Supervisors requested that task force try and find some prevention methods to help the lakes stay below those catastrophic levels like we saw last summer. You'll remember that flooding caused millions of dollars in damage in Dane County alone. So the county is now looking for answers. Tonight, that task force they assigned will talk about what they found in their report. They'll be discussing a number of different options, including lowering the level of Lake Mendota, removing all dams, and mitigation. We caught up with the Clean Lakes Alliance, which also got a first look at those findings.
Clean Lakes Alliance vision is pretty simple. It just says we see a future where the lakes are the center of the community. And this last summer we had an event that is really helping make the lakes the center of the community. I think more than ever people are asking, how can I help? What can I do? And what can I do to prevent this from happening again?
From the findings, the Clean Lakes Alliance still believes holding the stormwater, redirecting it, or slowing it is the answer to preventing more flooding and improving water quality. Of course, the more rainwater that washes into the lake, the more phosphorus runoff as well. And we all know what that does to the lake, going back to last summer when it closed many of the area beaches because of those water quality issues. Again, there is really a team effort going forward, so we look forward to hearing what's going to happen tonight. Ladies, they hope to have those officials' recommendations in place by the start of April.
It'll be interesting to see those as well. Josh Spreiter reporting live from Lake Mendota. Thank you, Josh.
6:35 your time now. A student-driven campaign is working to get the Madison School District to use 100% renewable energy by 2040. West High School senior Katia Wanish is part of that campaign, hoping to get 10,000 signatures for a green resolution by the end of the month. That group says the resolution would mean solar panels at schools and investing in renewable energy credits. Students hope the school board will vote on that resolution this spring. UW-Madison campus leaders are asking the Board of Regents to address what they're calling, quote, aged and fragile buildings. You're taking a look at video of pipes that burst inside 28 campus buildings during that extremely cold temperatures that we saw last month. Wisconsin Public Radio reports other Big Ten universities spend about 12% of their operating budgets on maintenance and preventative work, while UW only spends about 4%.
There will be some special guests on the UW-Madison campus this week who marched on campus 50 years ago demanding equal rights for black students. Up to 5,000 people were involved in that 1969 strike, calling for more black students, staff, and programming. This was all part of a larger African-American movement happening on college campuses across the country less than a year after Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination. Now, UW-Madison students boycotted classes and blocked the entrances to campus buildings. The governor had to order more than 2,000 National Guard soldiers to patrol campus. But news articles from the time describe the mood as largely festive. Now, following the protests, the university did create an Afro-American Studies program, agreed to provide space for a black student center, and reaffirmed its commitment to increasing black enrollment. Some of the original strike participants will share their experiences tonight and talk about how it compares to current struggles of black students. That's at 5 o'clock at the Memorial Union, with a reception afterwards at the Black Cultural Center inside the Red Gym. 6:37 right now, and a new machine is helping Dane County officials tackle the opioid epidemic even inside jail walls. It looks like something you might see at a TSA line at the airport. It screens anyone coming into the jail for contraband that cannot be found in a typical pat-down body search. For jails, that means fewer illegal or banned items, such as drugs, that make it inside. Officers say they've caught numerous things that they would not have been able to find otherwise.
People's desperation in terms of getting things like opioids into the jail. They put them in places where just a pat-down search is not going to find them.
New tonight at 10, Jamie Perez is going to show us how this new technology works and what police have found on people, what they're trying to sneak in. Very interesting.
It will. I'm going to have to catch that story.
Yeah, most definitely. The IRS reports the average tax return could be about $200 less than last year. That's ahead in the morning sprint.
And an 11-year-old Michigan girl is paying her Super Bowl winnings forward to those who dedicate their lives to serving others. That story's next on News 3 Now this morning.
641, welcome back. An 11-year-old from Central Michigan is using her Super Bowl prize money to pay it forward to first responders who could use a hand staying warm.
This is such a heartwarming story. Ava Zimmerman originally had plans to save her $100 prize, but when she heard about the emergency workers working long hours in the cold after a river flooded, she wanted to help. So she and her mom bought 6 slow cookers, filled them with homemade chili, and dropped them off at the emergency services building.
It's like really cold out, and they have to make sure everybody's okay out here, and so if they have something warm and they're full, and they can stay warm outside and save people.
What a sweetheart. Other families brought in snacks, bottled water, and coffee. The mayor there says it's a close-knit community, and this is just what neighbors do for one another.
That's wonderful.
What a sweetheart. I love that story. Good on you,
a
Ava.
smile on your face.
Yeah, we needed that this morning. Happy Monday morning right there. Okay, you're going to want to be careful out on the roads if you're out and about late tonight, as our next snowstorm is about to roll through. Starting around 9, most of our viewing area is going to be under a winter storm warning with up to 5 inches by morning. Hattie's first alert forecast is next.
But first, it is February 11th. We want to say happy birthday to Hattie, another Hattie out there, and all the kids turning 3 today. Thanks for celebrating with News 3 Now this morning.
Look who's
From the News 3 Now First Alert Weather Center, we're talking snow and a lot of it here across southern Wisconsin. So far this season, we've gotten about 31 inches of snow. A lot of that has melted, though. On the ground, we have only 3 to 6 inches for most of southern Wisconsin. Pretty good snow totals through the north woods, and we'll add snow to almost the entire state today. Take a look at the winter weather bulletins that are in effect. It's a winter storm warning from the UP of Michigan through Wisconsin down into parts of Iowa and southeastern Minnesota over the next day and a half or so. Now, the snow spreads in later on tonight, so you shouldn't have any issues getting to or from work. But here's a look at those snow totals. This is the GFS forecast model, putting a pretty wide band of about 6 to 8 or 9 inches of snow across southern Wisconsin. The European model, pretty similar on those numbers here in Madison, but it is painting kind of a bullseye of higher snow, around a foot or more for parts of north central Wisconsin. I think the European model is actually a little bit more accurate with this particular storm. We could see some pretty heavy snow totals up to the north. Right now, though, things are pretty quiet around here. If you are seeing a little bit of drizzle, it's just too light to be detected by the radar map. Temperatures are generally below freezing, though. 28 in Janesville, 23 in Madison, 19 in the Dells. Not too cold, though, for this time of the year. It could be a lot worse in early February. We do have a northeasterly wind this morning, around 10 miles an hour. That wind will shift to the east and start to increase through the afternoon. We're looking at 10 to 20 mile an hour winds later on today. That'll cause a little bit of an issue with blowing and drifting snow tonight, but also make it feel a little bit colder as well. So here's a look at your future track forecast model. Has a pretty good handle on this particular storm. Cloudy skies this morning with temperatures starting out right around 20 degrees. The clouds are going to stick with us through the day. We won't see a lot of sunshine today. Highs will climb into the upper 20s to right around 30 degrees. This is at 3 p.m. Our highs for the day. Easterly winds and cloudy skies. Now after 6 o'clock, that's when snow starts to spread in. You can see it working its way towards the area at 6, lifting north and east through the evening hours and spreading across the entire area. All snow is expected overnight and into Tuesday. Could be heavy at times as well, especially through Tuesday morning. Things start to wind down a little bit through the afternoon, but again, heavy snow totals are expected. Here's a look at your extended forecast then. We have temperatures that will top right around the freezing point tomorrow, 32 degrees. It is an alert day for southern Wisconsin. We get a break on Wednesday with some sunshine, but then another storm system late Thursday into Friday, potentially bringing mixed precipitation to the area. We have a kitty in our pet walk forecast this morning. Gizmo has a Santa hat on, but I had a cat and I always try to put Santa hats on him. Hated it.
Of course you did.
He couldn't even function when he had that hat on.
Yeah, I can't blame him. He's cute, though. I like the look.
It's like my kids when they put a jacket on. I can't do it. It's too big.
Thank you, Addie.
You're welcome.
The morning sprint's coming up next right here on News 3 Now. It is almost 6:52, time for the morning sprint. Hattie says we could see up to 10 inches of snow in parts of our area. That starts tonight.
And Josh Breiter is updating us on a countywide effort to prevent serious flooding events around the Yahara Lakes like we saw this past summer. But we start with breaking news just into the Channel 3000 Alert Center, where we are learning the name of a victim in a homicide in Beloit over the weekend. The Rock County Examiner says 28-year-old James Tompton died by, quote, homicidal firearm trauma. It happened on the south side of town Saturday afternoon. Police say Tompton and the suspect likely knew each other. We're planning to hear more about the case in a press conference later this afternoon.
A 26-year-old man is recovering after being stabbed multiple times last night. We do not know how that victim is doing this morning, but Madison police responded to the scene on Midvale Boulevard just after 6 last night. A suspect is in custody on tentative charges of attempted homicide. Police do believe this was an isolated incident. We'll have any updates from police today over on channel3000.com.
State investigators will be in Waukesha County today after a fatal officer-involved shooting this weekend. Police say they tried contacting a 55-year-old man involved in a forgery case when the suspect charged at an officer with a knife. That officer shot the suspect 4 times in the chest. Police have not released the names of anyone involved, but we do know the officer who fired the gun has more than 5 years of law enforcement experience.
The man accused of shooting and killing a Milwaukee police officer will be back in court later this week. 26-year-old Jordan Fricke is charged with first-degree intentional homicide in the shooting of 35-year-old Matthew Rittner. Now, Officer Rittner was executing a search warrant when he was shot and killed. Fricke claims he didn't know it was a police officer at his house. Rittner will be buried on Wednesday.
Jury selection begins today in the sexual assault trial for suspended Badgers wide receiver Quintez Cephas. He's accused of sexually assaulting 2 women while they were drinking last April. Cephas has denied the allegations, claiming the women weren't drunk and the encounters were consensual. His trial is scheduled to run through Friday.
And we're watching a winter storm that will move into the area tonight. An alert day in effect for tomorrow. General 4 to 10 inches of snow is expected across southern Wisconsin. Until then, you shouldn't have too many issues getting around through the day today as highs reach the upper 20s. Again, the snow starts later on tonight and continues through the day on Tuesday. Here's a look at total snow expectations by late Tuesday.
And I'm Josh Breiter along Lake Mendota this morning. Tonight we expect to learn more about what we as a community can do to prevent more catastrophic flooding along the Yahara Lakes. Last summer's record flooding caused millions of dollars in damage in Dane County alone. The county board requested a task force investigate what can be done to prevent that from happening again. Tonight they'll discuss options which include lowering lake levels, removing dams, dredging, and rerouting the drainage flow. The county has already included money in the budget this year for flooding prevention and emergency response capabilities. A set of official recommendations is expected by the start of April.
Thank you, Josh. There's another opportunity to hear from the candidates running for Madison mayor tonight. The Young, Gifted, and Black Coalition is hosting tonight's forum at the Central Library downtown. That group has worked to resolve disparity issues in the county jail and has protested police brutality in the past. The so-called People's Mayoral Forum goes from 6:30 until 8 tonight. No word yet on which candidates will be there. The primary election is a week from tomorrow.
Efforts to make sure your water is safe to drink are top of mind for the governor as he prepares his new budget. Governor Evers says he wants to let environmental officials borrow an extra $70 million over the next 2 years to address groundwater contamination. $65 million more would fund grants to local governments to help reduce stormwater runoff.
UW-Madison campus leaders are asking its Board of Regents to address what they're calling, quote, aged and fragile buildings. You're seeing some video here of pipes that burst inside 28 campus buildings during the extreme cold that we had last month. Wisconsin Public Radio reports other Big Ten universities spend about 12% of their operating budgets on maintenance and preventive work. UW only spends about 4%.
I just didn't do anything that I thought was ultra special except try to be who I think I want to be and try to do what I thought was necessary to do to make it a little better world.
UW-Madison is welcoming back the people who went on strike 50 years ago to demand equal rights for black students. Some of those participants will share their experience and how it compares to current struggles of black students at UW-Madison. That's happening at 5 tonight at the Memorial Union.
In the first filing season under the new tax code, the IRS is reporting early filers are seeing smaller refunds on average. The average refund is down about 8%, averaging about $1,800 compared to last year's average of more than $2,000. The Republican-led tax overhaul brought some of the most drastic changes to the tax code in decades. Filing season ends April 15th.
6:57 your time now. Let's turn it over to Josh Tim with the final look at your first alert traffic. Good morning, Josh.
Yeah, good morning. The Beltline's still moving all right at the moment, but things are getting busier westbound between Stoughton Road and Monona Drive. Inbound side of John Nolan beginning to pick up with a few brake lights near Olin Avenue and North Shore Drive heading into the downtown area. And other main routes, including the interstate coming into Madison, they're still moving along at the usual speeds with no major crashes or delays. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thank you, Josh.
And it is a cloudy start across southern Wisconsin this morning. We're going to keep the clouds through the day today. Keep in mind, snow spreading into the area tonight and continuing on Tuesday. Tomorrow is an alert day. Heavy snow expected.
Stay with News 3 now with the latest on that weather coming up later today.